and welcome to Brands Hatch for rounds 3 and 4 of the Henderson Insurance Brokers LMP3 Cup Championship.
Quality entry list again this weekend. United Autosports bringing their 2 cars, as are Nielsen Racing, which of course includes double Donington Park winners, the number 79 car of Colin Noble and Alistair McCaig. We also see Tockworth Motorsport back, as is the HPR GCAT racing pairing of Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz.
Alright, so as we start the lap here, I'm just trying to make sure I've got a good gap and exit out of the final corner in 4th gear. Make sure we get a really good run and try and take this a bit of a dip down the main straight, swing it back across to the left-hand side, try and brake as late as you can, avoid the bumps. And this is a really challenging corner because, you know, it goes up and down and they get this compression, so you really got to carry as much as you can into there. Turn 2 again is quick on the way in. Got to hug that apex and really try and get on the throttle, not too early, but get to the maximum as quick as you can. Graham Hill bend, you want to just miss that inside curb and then just get on the gas as early as you can as well. And going into Surtees, it's all about the exit here. So as you can see, I go for a really late apex and then back again on the power, and then this is the big run down to Hawthorns. So we get up to 5th gear. I think on a really good day you could probably get to 6th. You can see we're on the red lights. Back to 5th, and you know, this is a pretty ballsy corner. This was my first proper lap this morning, so you know, it was eye-opening. And then again through the next couple of corners, you really want to try and carry as much speed as you can. You know, these downforce aero cars, you need to really maximize it. And then as we come through here into the left, you really need to get that banking because you can maximize a lot of speed. And then heading down into clearways, again, it's all about getting this final corner right to set you up for the next lap and also to get the exit. So we had it right out again, and then get this dip. And then, yeah, that's a lap of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit.
Let's look through the grid for the first race of the weekend at Brands Hatch. Tony Wells is on pole position and Alistair McCaig is alongside. Row 2 of the grid sees Richard Dean line up alongside Andy Schultz, and row 3 is Jason Rishover and Mike Newbold alongside. On his own on row number 4 is Dean Gibbs, because there was a problem for the number 2 United Autosports car of CJ Wilson in free practice. He won't make the start. Lights are on, lights go out, and we are side by side up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Tony Wells fighting away with Alistair McCaig, and as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend, Richard Dean's able to sneak up the inside. So Richard Dean up to 2nd, Alistair McCaig down to 3rd, Jason Rishover's there in 4th place, Andy Schultz is 5th, and Dean Gibbs at the wheel of the Speedworks car looking to try and muscle his way from 6th up to 5th. Don't quite think it worked though as they head through Graham Hill Bend on the first lap. Jason Rishover runs a little bit wide at the wheel of the Nielsen Racing prepared car. That is going to allow Andy Schultz up the inside to see, yep, the GCAT Racing prepared, HPR Racing supported car goes through and up into 4th position. So now down towards Hawthorn Hill they'll go. There goes Richard Dean through shot. There is Jason Rishover, having just been disposed down into 5th position. And all of this is allowing our race leader Tony Wells to try and build an advantage here. 4 cars fighting away for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th positions as they turn their way through Sheen Curve towards the left-hander at Stirling's. From there it's on the pedal up through the gearbox and up towards Clearways Corner to conclude the first lap of the race, where our race leader, as you can see, is pulling away. That is Jason Rishover in the background. He goes rally crossing through the gravel. He's able to scramble his way back onto the tarmac, but that has dropped him now to the tail end of the field by the look of things. He's got work to do to catch the pack now, however. So it's now just 3 cars fighting for what is 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and here they come. Richard Dean under pressure from Alistair McCaig, who needs to attack and defend at the same time. He's got Andy Schultz sitting right on his coattails, and all of this squabbling is allowing Tony Wells, the reigning European Radical champion, to pull away in the lead of the race. Richard Dean has to utilise all of his enormous amounts of experience to try and keep Alistair McCaig, the Scotsman, behind at the wheel of the Ecuria Cost supporting car. So 3 as 1, second, third and fourth up towards the right-hander at Druids. And all of the time, our race leader pulling away here. So Richard Dean is under huge pressure now from Alistair McCaig as they head up towards Hawthorne Corner. So it is still Richard Dean just about hanging on to the place. Alistair McCaig's going to have a look at the inside as they head up towards Westfield Corner. McCaig's got the inside line. Richard Dean tries to turn into the apex and then realises that Andy Schultz is trying to work his way through as well. Richard Dean's already lost 1 place. He might lose 2 here as they head through Sheen Curve. Indeed he has. It wasn't a great deal that Richard Dean could do there. He just couldn't turn the car to the apex because Andy Schultz was right alongside. So it's now 2 places lost in each place of, what, a couple of corners in reality. So up towards the conclusion of the lap they'll go. Andy Schultz going really well at the wheel of the GCAT Run horsepower racing machine. With these cars powered by identical 420 brake horsepower Nissan V8 engines, all running a 6-speed X-Track gearbox as well. And this man here, Tony Wells, is doing the best of all at the moment at the wheel of the number 3 car. Finished in 2nd place in one of the races at Donington Park. At the moment, he's out front, he's leading in the first of the 2 races here at Brands Hatch and is building an advantage between himself and Alistair McCaig, who's now up into 2nd place. There goes Alistair McCaig in 2nd position. Here's the 3rd place car of Andy Schultz just appearing into view. Richard Dean should come through in the top of the car. Here he comes now in 4th position with Jason Rishover now in 5th place, having recovered his way back through the gravel. He's got himself back ahead of Dean Gibbs over the course of the last few laps, and winner car number 23 is looking to try and catch the pack ahead. But by the look of things, he's certainly catching Richard Dean. Richard Dean's already lost a couple of places here, so maybe that car is just struggling for pace a little bit here, because it certainly looks as though Jason Rishover now is fully up onto terms with him in his aspirations to squeeze his way through and into 4th position. Former Radical racer Jason Rishover right up onto terms with Richard Dean, who we've seen racing lots of single-seaters and sports cars, not just throughout Europe, but also spent a good chunk of his early career in Japan as well, racing in Japanese GT and Japanese Formula 3 and Japanese touring cars briefly, but now he's very much under pressure from Jason Rishover. He's put himself in prime position to have a look at the inside as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Well, there wasn't a great deal of defence put up there by Richard Dean, so I do wonder whether there might be some sort of small problem with that car, because he lost a couple of places in a couple of corners early on, and now not only has he lost out to Jason Rishover, who's not a slow driver, but seems to be falling away already. So maybe it's just something not quite right with the top of the prepared car. Here over the start-finish line comes Andy Schultz, the horsepower racing machine, looking to try and hang on to a podium place if he can, put the car in a strong position before he vacates the driver's seat, puts it into the hands of Paul Bailey for part 2 of the race. Everything's going well at this stage, turning his way through Druids, then up towards Clearways and on towards the conclusion of another lap. Here is Jason Rishover. As though now he's managed to get past Richard Dean. He's certainly pulled away, hasn't he, by the look of things? So the gap is certainly coming out between the pair of them. There goes Richard Dean, falling ever more away. As for Jason Rishover, yeah, you can see the gap building all of the time between himself and Richard Dean. Top of the number 26 machine now occupies what will be 5th position in the race. As for our race leader, though, Tony Wells is now about to put a lap on Mike Newbold, who we've seen racing in British GT over the course of the 2017 season. Mike using his mirrors, seeing the blue flags, keeping sensibly out of the way of Tony Wells, who from pole position is looking to try and build an advantage. And indeed there was a problem for Richard Dean. Into the pits he comes. Looks as though there may be a possible puncture or an issue with that tyre or wheel rim or something. So back out into the race goes the Topworth prepared car before the pit window, so he's going to have to come back into the pits for a change of driver later on in the race. So Richard Dean will just get out, still on the lead lap of the race. Time, however, lost. Here's Mike Newbold. This is the Douglas Motorsport machine that he will hand over to the Australian driver, Tom Randall, for the second part of the race. Tom moving over from racing in the BRDC Formula 3 Championship last year to race in sports cars this year. He is about to be placed a lap down again as Schultz is looking to try and squeeze his way through. Mike was driving sensibly to allow the race leader to go through equally as much. Good driving again, moves neatly out of the way of Andy Schultz. Press on again in 3rd place. This man here, Tony Wells, is pressing on in the lead of the race, having built the advantage. Alistair McCaig is not that far away from him still, so when you slip up at all from the race leader, may well see this car here, Alistair McCaig, putting under pressure, because you can see the two of them in the same shot there. A huge amount of daylight between the pair. there. At this stage of the race, the Scotsman in second place is travelling a little bit quicker than the race leader, so the margin is just being chipped away at by the Courier Cost machine. So there you go, the lead there, up towards the conclusion of another lap. Here is our race leader now down towards Hawthorne Bend. The number 3 car of Tony Wells still continuing to lead the race at this stage. As I said, the sister number 2 United Autosports car not able to take the start of this race. Fingers crossed we'll see it out for race 2. At the moment it looks as though you can see that he's almost now caught up to Richard Dean. So Richard Dean still remaining on the lead lap following that unscheduled visit to the pits. The 26 car literally by the skin of its teeth remains on the lead lap as they press on towards a conclusion. Another lap. As they conclude another lap, there goes Alistair McKay. Here's the car that's in third position. Andy Schultz still going well in third place, or was going well. A spin for him at the exit of Stirling's Bend. The car facing the wrong way. Fingers crossed he's still got the engine fired, which will allow him to rotate the car through 180 degrees. Should hopefully be able to continue in the race. That will be losing him time and positions. So here is Andy Schultz. The engine's running. He's going to have to try and scramble his way through the gravel. Fingers crossed there's enough momentum the car can dig its way through. Indeed it has. So lots of time lost for Andy Schultz. Positions lost as he retakes to the tarmac just about as the pit window is opening. Join us for more though after the break. Pit window open at Brands Hatch. We can already see that Tony Wells and Matt Bell are in the process of changing out of the race leading number 3 car. This is number 23, Jason Rishover, coming in, about to hand the car over to British Formula 3 national champion from many years ago, Jamie Spence. This is number 96. This is Dean Gibbs behind the wheel of the car. He will hand the car over to Jack Butel before too much longer. And also now coming into the pits, this is Mike Newbold to give way to the Australian driver Tom Randall. So that now means that this car, in the hands of Alistair McKay, number 79, the Courier Cost car, prepared by Nielsen Racing, leads the race at this stage, but it will be surely destined for the pits before too much longer. But back out of the pits now comes number 3. What was the race leading car? It will now be in the hands of Matt Bell. But let's hear from Tony Wells, who's down with Nicola in the pit lane.
Back with Tony Wells now, who was in the lead for most of that. How does it feel passing it over to your colleague there?
Relief.
Oh, really?
Well, done my bit, haven't I?
I guess so, but I suppose you have to have a lot of trust in handing it over. You've done all that work and all that effort, all that focus, and then you give it to someone else. Isn't that daunting?
No, it's a team game. Matt's a good driver, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm completely happy. I put it on pole and give him 5 seconds, so, that's me done.
So the race continuing, and now this car leads at this stage. Car number 28, Andy Schultz, has taken up the lead of the race, but of course is still as yet to pit. So the Horsepower Racing GCAT prepared machine leading. Paul Bailey will take over that car before too much longer. Both pretty experienced in terms of racing sports cars, but not Le Mans prototypes at this stage. Back out of the pit lane we saw number 28 coming. That's Tom Randall at the wheel of the Douglas Motorsports car. Here comes Jack Butel back out of the pit lane at the wheel of the number 96 Speedworks car. All of the time whilst this man, Matt Bell, is looking to try and maintain the lead of the race once everybody has cycled through the pit stops, because that car there we have not seen as yet come into the pit lane. So Andy Schultz continuing to lead the race as he presses on down towards Hawthorne. And that is the relative gap between himself and Matt Bell. But of course Matt has pitted, so Matt Bell in second position, not that far away from the race leader, as into the pit lane does come Andy Schultz. So this should mean that the race is now back in the hands of Matt Bell. And there was a car just in the gravel trap there at Clearways Corner. I have a feeling that might be the Topworth Motorsport car of Sarah Moore that's in the gravel. So Matt Bell back into the lead of the race. The safety car coming out, I suspect, because of the car I spotted in the distance. And well, Paul Bailey has just taken over the Horsepower Racing machine. So Paul Bailey will continue on. Indeed, yeah, there is Sarah Moore. You can see her in the gravel trap at Clearways Corner. The circuit recovery vehicle looking to try and drag the car out of harm's way. And with the safety car out there, that means that that's going to bunch everybody up once more. So the advantage that Tony Wells had built up in the early stages of the race is all going to evaporate, and not a great deal at this stage. So it is going to be Matt Bell that will lead, as into the pit lane comes Sarah Moore in a rather second-hand looking Topworth Motorsport car. The mechanic's already on hand with new bodywork, a bite having been taken out of the front left-hand corner of the car, where it made, by the look of things, just the briefest of contact with the Rector-Cell barriers up there at Clearways Corner, but inspection will need to be done of bodywork, and once they get the new nose on that car, fingers crossed, we'll see Sarah, former Ginetta Junior champion, back out in the race. But of course, time being lost in the pit lane for herself and for Richard Dean, who was of course already delayed with a puncture in the first part of the race. So, safety car still out there. We're about to very shortly get the race back underway, because Sarah Moore's car is now safely out of harm's way back in the pit lane. Well, there's no overtaking until the start-finish line. Paul Bailey having gone a lap down, and only now can Colin Noble squeeze his way through and up the inside. Jamie Spence also trying to get past the lap cars as well, but they could only do that once they've gone over the start-finish line. So normal service resume. Matt Bell leads the race. Locked brake from number 23, Jamie Spence. So keen is he to try and hang on to the coattails of Colin Noble. So there they go through Stirling's. That's the number 72 car in the hands of Tom Randall at this stage. He is still a lap adrift following the efforts of Mike Newbold in the early stages of the race. So Tom Randall, arguably one of the quickest drivers in the field. We've seen great things from the Aussie so far this year, but he's not quite on the lead lap yet, despite the fact he is right on the coattails of the car that's currently third in this race, that being the number 23 Nielsen Racing car of Jamie Spence. So he's going to try and want to unlap himself, surely the Aussie here. So they turn their way through what is Westfield and then start to head downhill, so through Dingledale up towards Sheen Curve. Tom Randall looks for the inside line. Jamie Spence having none of that at this stage, and he's still sitting behind what is the third place car. Tom Randall hugely keen to try and unlap himself. Is he going to have a go this time up towards Paddock Hill Bend? Looks for the inside line, and the Aussie is able to squeeze his way through, so place gained for the former single-seater racer. All of the time whilst Matt Bell leads the race, and this car here in the hands of Colin Noble is in second place. Third place still remains the same, it's Jamie Spence. It's just he's now been unlapped as far as Tom Randall is concerned. There's a lap adrift, but is closing in on the leading cars at this stage. And this is the hastily repaired Topworth Motorsport car in the hands of Sarah Moore, so you can see the new nose cone to that car following the damage and problems that befell her. A difficult first race of the weekend for Sarah Moore, Richard Dean and the Topworth team. At the moment, several laps adrift. We're about to go another lap adrift as our race leader is bearing down on them again. So here comes Matt Bell, former podium finisher at Bathurst is Matt. We've seen him racing out in the Asian Le Mans Series over the course of this year. Hugely experienced, and he is leading the race at this stage. Has been very much part of the United Autosports family for a good few seasons now. There is Colin Noble in second position. Tom Randall still trying to work his way through slower cars, albeit, so that car is at the moment off the lead lap still. It is now starting to close in on Colin Noble, who's second. So is he going to unlap the car in, as far as he's concerned, the car that's in second position? And Colin Noble having just posted the fastest lap of the race, but Tom Randall is not that far away by the look of things, so going superbly well. There's our race leader Matt Bell. There is Colin Noble in second place. Well, there he goes. But the Douglas Motorsport car, number 72 in the hands of the Australian driver, is getting ever closer to him by the look of things. So both of them working terribly hard. Shame it's not for position on track. Otherwise, that would be a great little fight that's going on. Either way, it's fantastic to watch. Race leader turned his way through Druids. There goes number 23, Jamie Spence. He still sits there in what is third position at the moment. Matt Bell, on behalf of United Autosports, it looks as though himself and Tony Wells might potentially be heading to victory number one of the season so far. They finished second in one of the races at Donington Park. They had a puncture right at the very end of one of the races at Donington, which dropped them down through the order, but they've had the pace throughout the course of the day. They lead the race. This car here, number 23, now in the hands of Jamie Spence, still lies there in what is third position. And this car here, number 28, Paul Bailey, that car is at the moment in fifth position, having taken over the car from Andy Schultz. They managed to get their pit stop done just as the safety car was coming out. He's about to shortly go further back the grid by the look of things. As our race leader keeps pressing on. So here comes our race leader through the left-hander at Stirling's and is about to head towards what would be the checkered flag in a few moments' time. So up towards the braking area for Clearways Corner. One more corner to go, and it looks as though it is going to be a debut win in the Henderson Insurance Brokers LMP3 Cup Championship for Matt Bell, who heads over the start-finish line to take the checkered flag, and Tony Wells, who did all of the hard work in the early stages. They claim their first win of the season. Themselves and the United Autosports team will be highly delighted with what has been a solid start to the weekend for them here at Brands Hatch. So Matt Bell acknowledges the crowd as he turns his way round on his slowing down lap. And of course he will head to the top step of the podium. So confirmation of the results then. It's a win for Tony Wells and Matt Bell, with Colin Noble and Alistair McCaig in second, and Jason Rishover and Jamie Spence in third. Fourth is Newbold and Randall. Fifth is Bailey and Schultz. Jack Butel and Dean Gibbs are there in sixth place, and it's Richard Dean and Sarah Moore that were the last of the finishers.
Now back with you again, Tony. I know you said earlier on when the changeover happened that you were relieved that your job had been done, but were you really all that relaxed in those last few moments with your teammate?
Well, obviously the safety car sort of took away 12-second advantage, so that was not so relaxing. But I mean, Matt's pace immediately after the safety car was really strong, and he pulled out 5 seconds, and then you can just keep your head down from there. So yeah, I was quite relaxed. You know, car was working well, and we were in no danger, so well done.
Fantastic. Well, Matt, obviously Tony put in the work in the first half and then finished off in the second there. But how does it feel to take the lead?
Oh, it was great. You know, that's the dream race. Teammate puts it on pole, does all the hard work at the start, brings it back in the lead, and hands it over. So you know, he did a lot of the hard work. Went a very good pit stop again. That all seemed to go really smooth. And yeah, it was just a case of getting my head down and making sure I could steer clear of that young man who's always pretty quick. But no, our pace seemed pretty good. I think he managed to pit me to fastest lap, but we seemed to sort of ebb to and fro on the gap, so that was good, and just had to bring it home in those last couple of laps.
Yeah, well, I'm here with Colin and Alistair, who placed second in today's race. Of course, it was very nail-biting at one point, and you really did give the winners a run for their money today, I'm sure. How does it feel to be placing second, and what do you want to do for tomorrow?
Yeah, no, it was good actually. We had a nice clean race. Tried to hang on to Tony at the start, but Richard Dean got past me at the start. But I managed to get by him after the first couple of laps. So, but Tony, who won the race, did a fantastic job. And so did his teammate Matt. We just didn't quite have the pace to take it to them today, but we'll try go one better tomorrow and see if we can get on the top step.
Absolutely. I mean, all eyes literally were on the two of you, the two cars there. Anything that you think you might do differently tomorrow?
Not really. The pace of the car either was good. We had fastest lap. Alistair had the fastest AM lap. So no, just the safety car kind of hurt us a bit. Just got cold tyres. I couldn't get temperature back in my front tyres there in the first few laps, and they got the gap, and then we started pulling them back in at the end, but it was too much too late.
I'm here with Jamie and Jason, who placed third in the last race. How was it for you today out there?
Yeah, good. Really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed myself. Yeah.
And you?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How was it? How was it for you?
Yeah, it was a good race. I think third was the best we could have hoped for today. The car wasn't 100%, but I'm sure we'll make some alteration and come back strong tomorrow.
I mean, obviously everyone has a fantastic team working around them. How do you feel that your team fared with the issues that you faced with your car today?
Oh, they're great. Our team are fantastic. Nielsen Racing really look after us. And then, as I said, Jamie, we're going to make changes if they'd be straight on it, working right through the night, hopefully. Right. But yeah, we're excited about tomorrow. Let's see whether we can be back up here.
Oh, well, I hope so. What are your hopes for tomorrow? Do you think there's going to be anyone out there chasing you? Do you think you can push it to the second or first?
We hope 2 spots better than we was today. That's the aim. Never to go backwards, to go forward, and I'm sure working hard with the team tonight we will improve.
Tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you start from? How did you get it started into racing?
Well, firstly, I'm from Melbourne, Australia, so I was born 21 years ago, which makes me feel old and young in a way.
You're not old.
So I started go-karts when I was 7. My dad brought home a go-kart for me, and I hopped in and I loved it. So my dad used to race as well, and he used to run a sort of servicing business for Saabs and Volvos, and now he runs his own race team in Australia. So started off in go-karts, and my dad always had this philosophy where, you know, we weren't going to move up until I could prove myself. So I took a few years off in karting, but my main sort of years in go-karting were when I was 15, 16, and I won a few big karting events in Australia, and then I moved up to Formula Ford, which is very competitive in Australia, and I did 2 seasons of that and won the Australian Championship in the second year. Then the following year I raced in Australian Formula 4, which is the exact same championship as the British Formula 4 series, and finished second in that. And then last year I did the BRDC Formula 3 Championship, finished 4th overall with a few wins, and then did the Toyota Racing Series at the start of this year and won the championship. And I worked with Mike last year as a driver coach when he was racing in Ginetta G55s, and then he did a test day with United Autosports in the Leisure LMP3 and really loved it. And he bought a car and asked me to drive with him, and you know, I really think it's a great opportunity to showcase my talent and, you know, hopefully try and make it into a professional prototype career.
Let's have a look at the grid then for the second race of the weekend. Jamie Spence on pole position alongside his Alistair McCaig. Tony Wells and Andy Schultz on row 2. It's Richard Dean and Dean Gibbs on row 3. And it will be CJ Wilson and Mike Newbold who will start on the 4th row of the grid. Cars coming up towards Clearways Corner. The pace car is about to peel its way into the pit lane. We're about to get the 4th race of the season for the Henderson Insurance Brokers LMP3 Cup Championship underway here at Brands Hatch. A good start from Jamie Spence and a fantastic start from Tony Wells, who's looking to try and draw himself alongside. And up the inside of Alistair McCaig, the United Autosport car slots its way through as they head through Paddock Hill Bend and has to defend the position on the run up towards Druids for the first time. So Andy Schultz is there in 4th place. 5th place is going to be Richard Dean at this stage, and it will be Dean Gibbs who's there in 6th position. So the cars just bouncing over the curbs. These LMP3 cars don't particularly like the high curbs, so the drivers have to adjust their driving style if they've been used to driving things like GT3 machinery. For the moment, the squabbles in the early stages are very much on. Pulling away in the lead of the race is Jamie Spence, so the Nielsen Racing prepared car pulling away from these two that are doing battle, rolling their sleeves up and getting on with it are Tony Wells in 2nd place, and what is Alistair McCaig in the 2nd of the 2 Nielsen prepared cars, the Acuria Cos car that sits there in 3rd place. Nose to tail through Stirlings they'll go, again just bouncing off the curbs. On the exit of the corner goes the reigning Radical European champion Tony Wells, former UK champion as well as he was in Radicals, whereas for Alistair McCaig behind, we've seen him in the likes of British GT and sporadically and Blancpain as well over the course of the last few seasons. Those two being dropped though by Jamie Spence. Next 4 cars aren't that far apart in reality. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th places still very much together as Jamie Spence builds the lead advantage. Up towards Hawthorne comes that battle for what is 2nd and 3rd position. Tony Wells having to drive the wheels off his Ligier to try and keep the aspirations of Alistair McCaig at bay all of the time, whilst also Andy Schultz is not that far away at the wheel of the horsepower racing machine. Also managing to keep the coattails of them is Richard Dean, who'll be hoping for good things at the wheel of the top grid prepared car. Those are the 4 cars, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, all in shot together. And up the road, well up the road now, is Jamie Spence building the advantage towards breaking out for Druids once more, despite the fact that Alistair McCaig has been continually close to the coattails of Tony Wells. He's not as yet been able to pick his pocket, so the order still remains the same, despite the very best efforts of the Scotsman to try and thread his way through. So through Hawthorne, up towards Westfield yet again they'll go. It is still the United Autosports car that just heads the Nielsen prepared car. This is a good fight that's going on. This is for 6th, 7th and 8th position in this stage, which is Dean Gibbs fighting away with Mike Newbold, and also CJ Wilson's not too far away, the American driver, who's had a pretty horrid weekend really at Brands Hatch. His first visit to Brands, a car and a circuit he's unfamiliar with, but he's worked his way into contention with this little battle for 6th position as they continually thread their way around the circuit. Dean Gibbs in the Speedworks prepared car, just ahead of the blue and white Douglas Motorsport prepared car, and then the 2nd of the 2 United Autosports cars in the hands of the left-handed baseball player CJ Wilson. Through the left-hander they work their way. So CJ Wilson is now getting himself right up onto terms here with Mike Newbold. So he might be unfamiliar with the car, might be unfamiliar with the circuit, but he's got quicker and quicker and quicker as he's learnt more about the track and the car, and is now involved in what is arguably the best battle that we've got on circuit at the moment. 3 has won down the Derek Minter Straight in towards Westfield. Here is also the battle now for 4th position. because it certainly looks as though Richard Dean is giving Andy Schultz a thing or two to think about. Andy, who we've seen racing in British GT historically, he was also a group champion in the GT Cup a few seasons ago, himself and Paul Bailey. So it doesn't matter where you look, there are fights going on at the moment, albeit there aren't actually changes of position. We've still got this little trio locked together as they descend downhill, and CJ Wilson's got the inside run here on Mike Newbold. Are they going to squeeze their way through? No, Mike Newbold chops across the front. There was just the lightest of touches between the two of them by the look of things. No damage done to either, but Mike Newbold really had to stick his elbows out there to hang on to the place. Now that he's defended, his mind is turned back towards attack once more. Dean Gibbs, a driver who raced in the GT Cup Championship in an Aston Martin GT4 last year, under pressure from Mike Newbold, who's driving the wheels off the Douglas Motorsport car, looking to try and squeeze his way to the inside on the exit of Surtees Corner. Might just make it stick, and indeed he has, yeah, as they head through Pilgrim's Drop. It is going to be a shuffle in the order. Dean Gibbs loses out, and that promotes the number 72 Douglas Motorsport car in the hands of Mike Newbold up through the order at this stage. Trio still together though. CJ Wilson locks the rear tyres and deposits the car into the gravel trap at Stirling's Corner. I doubt there's any coming out from that position in the gravel trap, which surely means that there's going to be localised yellow flags whilst our marshals deal with the incident, and possibly even a safety car period coming up. Tony Spence won't worry though, he still leads the race. Here's the battle for second, still together as well. Tony Wells just cannot shake away Alistair McCaig as they go past the point of the incident. There's the stricken car of CJ Wilson. Pressing on past it though is the sister car to it, and indeed safety car is coming out, so safety car comes out onto track. That is going to bunch everybody up, and for Jamie Spence, rather frustratingly, all of that hard work that he'd done to build up the lead advantage has all disappeared to not a great deal now in reality. CJ Wilson looking to try and get the car back on circuit. You can see the baseball on the right rear of that car. It's an American driver over to race with us in the Henderson Insurance Brokers LMP3 Cup this weekend. And with the cars weaving their way from side to side, trying to maintain temperature in these controlled Pirelli tyres that all of these cars run. Shouldn't take too much longer to get CJ Wilson's car out of harm's way. No damage done, a quick visit to the pits to get all of the gravel out of it, and he should be able to continue in the race. So the cars working their way down the Derek Winter Straight, weaving from side to side as much as they possibly can. Jamie Spence hugely keen to get the race back underway, but of course we need to get CJ Wilson's car out of harm's way to start with. It's almost being done now, so the last few bits of work just being done up at Stirling's Corner. The car's back on the tarmac, there it is. The marshals, I think, just waiting for CJ Wilson to do a three-point turn, which isn't the easiest thing in these cars. They don't have a lot of steering lock, so might be 2 or 3 attempts to get that car back pointing in the right direction. So safety car will remain out there until the car is out of harm's way. There it is, indeed it is. So TJ Wilson will surely head for the pit lane to get the car checked out by the United Autosports team, and indeed is, which now means that the circuit is clear. It also means that we are able to very shortly get this race back underway once more. So safety car peels off, and well, Jamie Spence was keen to get on with it, wasn't he there? He bounced off the curb and almost into the gravel, trying to get the car restarted as quickly as he possibly can. It almost caught him out there, so 3 for the lead together. Jamie Spence leads, Tony Wells second, Alistair McCaig there in 3rd place. The safety car really having bunched them all up again. And then it's going to be Andy Schultz who's there in 4th place, just ahead of Richard Dean in 5th position. But Jamie Spence, I think, maybe almost a little bit too keen to get things back underway, but he's already starting to build the lead advantage again. He's seen it whittled away because of that safety car, but you can see now just putting a bit of daylight between himself and the number 3 car, still in the hands of Tony Wells, as they thread their way through Hawthorne. Very, very quick, daunting right-hander is Hawthorne, particularly in these cars with all of their aerodynamic downforce that they provide. For Tony Wells, he is having to, I think, just allow the leader to make good his escape, because his efforts are fully focused on trying to keep Alistair McCaig at bay, who almost had an opportunity there. So instantly Tony Wells moves the car over to the left-hand side of the circuit, protecting the inside line to Stirling's. That would have slowed him a little bit more, and again you can see the lead advantage is building further, because Tony Wells has little choice but to defend from the Acuria Cost car. So a double winner at the opening 2 races at Donington Park up in the East Midlands, and Alistair McCaig weaving from side to side, trying to put Tony Wells off. But Tony, hugely experienced nowadays, just positioning the car exactly where he wants, and now that's allowed 4 cars to catch up. So the fight is on 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, all absolutely together in this 2nd race of the weekend of the Henderson Insurance Brokers LMP3 Cup. It's Tony Wells that's at the front of that little queue of cars. despite the close attentions of Alistair McKay, who's just faded away a shade now. He pushed on, maybe he's just eased things off again now. So he still resides there in third position. Here is number 72, that is Mike Randall. He has now looked to try and make good his escape from the Speedworks car in the hands of Dean Gibbs, but Dean Gibbs has other ideas about that in reality. They will be fighting over what is going to be 6th and 7th places at the stage as they head out of Stirling, the Douglas Motorsport car just ahead of Dean Gibbs. Our race leader, Jamie Spence, as we say, doing driving duties entirely on his own over the course of this weekend because of family commitments for Jason Rishover. He has no co-driver to worry about. You can see the advantage that's built up between this next little string of cars, which is still quite close together for 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. 4th place being that car there, the horsepower racing car, prepared by GCAP Racing in the hands of Andy Schultz. But the pit window is now open. Cars are diving for the pit lane for the second race of the weekend here at Brands Hatch. So into the pit lane comes Tony Wells to hand over to Matt Bell. Also into the pit lane comes Alistair McKay to hand over to Colin Noble. So that's the fight for what is 2nd and 3rd on the road heading into the pit lane. Also Mike Newbold comes in as well to hand the car over to Tom Randall. So it's a busy pit lane at Brands Hatch. Join us for some more after the break. Welcome back to Brands Hatch with the pit window open. The race is now for who can service the cars quicker in the pit lane, and by the look of things, through and gaining a place over the number 3 United Autosports car that's now in the hands of Matt Bell has gone Colin Noble, who's just taken over that Curiacos car from Alistair McKay. So they're still together, but the order has been shuffled between those two. I'm sure they will resume their battle on track for the second part of this race. This car here is currently in 2nd position, number 28. The horsepower racing car still in the hands of Andy Schultz is as yet to pit. Because it hasn't pitted, it's a full lap ahead now of those that have just come back out of the pit lane. This car also yet to pit. This is our race leader, again being run by Nielsen Racing, Jamie Spence, who, as I said, yesterday shared the car with Jason Rishover, but Jason unable to race today at Brands Hatch. So Jamie looking to do the full 1 hour on his own. As for Andy Schultz, well, at the moment he's got cars that are a lap adrift of him but have pitted, starting to close up in his mirror. Of course, the race order will reassert itself once everybody has cycled through the mandatory pit stops. Long brakes there from Matt Bell as he anchors the car up, heading in towards the left-hander at Stirling's. And now it looks as though they're also trying to squeeze their way through and past the number 2 car of CJ Wilson, that is what the best part of 3 or 4 laps adrift following his gravelly moment in the first section of the race. As yet, though, to hand the car over to what will be Andrew Evans for the second part of the race. As for Andy Schultz, now is he going to close the door? No, he's not. He leaves the door open and allows both Colin Noble and, of course, Matt Bell to squeeze their way through. So those 2 cars are now ahead of the horsepower racing car. That wasn't for position. That is in reality just unlapping themselves. And into the pit lane now, from the lead of the race, comes Jamie Spencer. The number 23 car is in. Of course, Jamie will remain behind the wheel for the second part of the race. Now, can the Nielsen team get the car serviced and get it back out on track before the car of Colin Noble and, of course, Matt Bell comes back round? We managed to catch up with Andy Schultz in the pit lane.
Well, it's nail-biting stuff halfway through the last race of the weekend. I'm here with Andy to find out how it all went. How'd it go?
Yeah, it was better. You know, much more successful. I didn't bin it, so that's good. I brought it back in, and it wasn't a bad run. Just, you know, we're working still on the setup, so I'm trying a few different techniques, but managed to hold the position okay, and that was all right. And I was hoping to stay with the other 2 guys, and I sort of hung on the back of them, but couldn't really gain enough to catch up to them. But that's fine, you know, that's what we wanted, a nice clean run, and then hopefully Paul can have a good clean run to the end.
Yep, certainly Paul Bailey behind the wheel of that car will be hoping for a clean run to the end as well. As the battles continue out on circuit, this is the fight for 2nd and 3rd still, and Colin Noble can just not shake away the charging Matt Bell as they thread their way through Stirling's and start to head up towards the conclusion of another lap, which by the look of things sees our race leader pit and come back out, Jamie Spence, number 23, and still maintain the lead advantage as he heads through the left-hander. So Jamie Spence, having built the advantage in the early part of the race, had it whittled away because of the safety car period, was able to rebuild enough of an advantage to hang on to the lead. Through shot he goes, and we'll wait and see what the relative gap is between himself and the car in 2nd position, which should be coming into view any second now. Here it comes, yeah, Colin Noble in 2nd place, and Matt Bell still there in 3rd place, still working terribly hard, but you can see the advantage that our race leader, Jamie Spence, has been able to rebuild up over the course of the second part of this race. That is going to be the car that's now in the hands of Jack Butel, car number 96, driver that raced in the MSA Formula in single-seaters the last couple of years, partnered with Dean Gibbs. They've had a solid start to the season, and this now is going to be the fight for 4th and 5th position. Paul Bailey, car number 28, the horsepower racing car, tried to hang on to it from the charging car of Sarah Moore, the Topwith Motorsport prepared Ligier. So all of them powered by identical V8 Nissan engines, all the same chassis this weekend. It is a multi-mark category, the LMP3, but all of the cars in the Henderson Insurance Brokers LMP3 Cup Championship this weekend are all the Ligier chassis. And Paul Bailey looking to try and hang on to the place here despite the very close attentions of Sarah Moore, and now closing in onto the coattails of them is the Australian driver, which is Tom Randall, who is setting fastest laps, trying to close up the gap between himself and the pair ahead. So 4th, 5th and 6th places all very much together, and arguably the quickest driver amongst those three, Tom Randall, is at the tail end of the little trio. Is he able to unlock the door and gain a place on Sarah Moore? Has a look at the inside, heading in towards Hawthorne Corner, squeezes his way through. 1 place gain for the Aussie. Is he now able to also work his way through and past Paul Bailey? Paul Bailey defends down the Derek Minter straight, and he's able to hang on to the place through Westfield Corner, but Tom Randall has the overlap this time, does he? Yet through Dingledale, up towards Sheen Curve, and Tom Randall has indeed made it through. So 2 places gained over the course of some 3 corners, from 6th now up into 4th position for the charging Australian driver. And there's more work to be done by Paul Bailey if he wants to hang on to the place, because Sarah Moore has already been able to squeeze her way through. So in stark contrast for Paul Bailey, it's 4th down to 6th over the course of what a lap in reality, but it's a clean run towards the end, and that's what he and Andy Schultz, as he discussed in the pit lane, was after. Tom Randall is on fire at this stage. The Australian driver just having posted the fastest lap of the race. He is now caught up with the United Autosports car of Andrew Evans, the American driver, who is just about to be lapped again by Tom Randall, who is able to squeeze his way through all of the time, whilst this car leads. Jamie Spence out front and leading the race. Jason Rishover will be hugely keen if he can hang on to the position. It would be a first victory for this car in the LMP3 Cup season, and all of the hard work for Tom Randall is going to come undone. There is a 1 second pit penalty, some transgression during the pit window. I suspect the car just having stopped for too short a period means that that car is going to have to come into the pits, have a 1 second stop go penalty, which is just taking now, and head back out. But some of that hard work from Tom Randall to work his way up to 4th has all been undone in reality. Here's the battle for 2nd place, still not that far apart either, are they? Colin Noble still looking to try and build an advantage between himself and Matt Bell, as the charging Tom Randall's back on circuit and already starting to try and gain places again. That's another place he's just gained over Sarah Moore, so that works Tom Randall further up through the order. Don't quite think he's going to have enough to feature on the podium. He will be somewhat reliant on problems for others that lie ahead. That's the number 2 car of Andrew Evans. He just gets past again, having only just overtaken it prior to his stop-go penalty. He is able to again catch it and get past without too much of a problem. So as for Jamie Spence, though, comfortably leading the race at this stage as he heads through Dingledale up towards Sheen Curve, and well, problems. Jamie Spence has got a problem. It looks like there's a rear puncture on that car, and he spins the car just in front of Paul Bailey, who's able to avoid contact with it. Poor old Jamie Spence, who you could see the wheels locking, and it looks as though there's a right rear puncture on that car. Yeah, he's going to try and limp the car back to the pits. He's heading into the gravel trap, and the car bogs down, which is hugely unfortunate for Jamie Spence. That has lost him the lead of the race. He didn't do a great deal wrong there. It was just a puncture that unfortunately caught him out, and as he tried to limp the car back to the pits, see him inspecting that left rear corner. Out come the red flags as well, so that at this stage of the race is going to mean that we are going to have a win on track for car number 79. Alistair McCaig and Colin Noble will be declared the winners, because Jamie Spence, who was leading, was not part of the race when the red flags came out. He had retired the car. So let's confirm the results then. It's a win for Colin Noble and Alistair McCaig. Tony Wells and Matt Bell are 2nd, ahead of Mike Newbold and Tom Randall in 3rd. Richard Dean and Sarah Moore 4th, ahead of Jack Butel and Dean Gibbs. Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz in 6th place, and CJ Wilson and Andrew Evans in 7th. And a frustrating retirement for Jamie Spence.
Well, what a victory today. Absolutely spectacular. I know that both of you have been smiling from ear to ear the whole time, but not everybody was smiling out there. A couple of incidents on the track. How did that affect you?
The safety car probably helped us slightly, but the team did a great job in the pit stops, gave us the jump, so yeah, I just had to protect what I had, and we could put some fast, consistent laps, and Matt put me under pressure for the majority of my stint, so Yeah, really pleased with the car's pace and the improvements we made on the car from yesterday, and yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, and we're quite fortunate obviously with the red flag at the end.
Well, obviously it's paid off. Well done.
Thank you.
What an incredible race. Obviously smiles up here on the podium, but not smiles around for everyone. It was a tough time out there for some of the drivers. Do you send your condolences to them?
Yeah, of course. You don't want to see people, you know, sometimes you do get punctures. We had a puncture in race 1 at Donington, so, you know, this is unfortunately how it happens. So it's a shame for Jamie because he was clearly going to win. Yeah. So, you know, you take the results as they come. But, so, no, but we had a good time. I mean, you know, I really enjoyed the start. So Alistair was completely asleep. Jamie went early, and I just followed Jamie, and I was like buried down the inside of him against the pit wall. I'm thinking, mate, you're going to have to back off because I ain't. And he did.
Well, you're both smiling. You must have had a fantastic day. Have you enjoyed this weekend?
I certainly have. Yeah, I mean, you know, to get a win, both 2 podium finishes and one of them a win. So it's almost perfect weekend. We just really want to try and do the double header at Spa. You know, everyone wants to win at Spa. It's going to be a competitive grid again, but it's a phenomenally competitive top 3, top 4. So it's always going to be tricky.
So, being that it's so competitive and slightly more so in Spa, will there still be smiles and sportsmanship all round?
Well, you can't not have fun doing this, can you? Really? So yeah, we'll give it a good go. I like Spa. I've had poles there before, so you know, I'm going to give Alistair a bit of a run, and we'll keep it going. And then the week after Spa, we're at Le Mans. So I swapped to the other team, and I'm with Colin. So yeah, so we're having a good laugh.
Brilliant. Well, it obviously sounds like you've had a ball today. Well done, and I'll see you at Spa.
But take us through what happened out there and how you managed to steal third.
I think it all started with Mike's stint. You know, he drove great, and Mike, you tell him.
Well, no, you go on, Tom, go on, you're the man.
I think we got lucky with the safety car. And then in the driver change, unfortunately, I think we just jumped the gun a bit too much. So I got 1 second drive through, but I managed to come back and get back up to 4th and just try to keep putting in the fastest laps I could, because I didn't really know how far I was away from 3rd. And then unfortunately, Jamie Spence, I heard he had a puncture or something, and that promoted us to 3rd. So, you know, again, I'd like to thank all the team, Douglas Motorsport, Mike for the awesome opportunity, and you know, I think it should be a really exciting Spa round.
Let's have a look at the championship standings. After 4 rounds, it is Colin Noble and Alistair McCaig that have a reasonably healthy 27-point lead at this stage from Tony Wells and Matt Bell in 2nd place. And Mike Newbold and Tom Randall are now up into 3rd place, with Cerebor and Richard Dean, however, just 6 points adrift in 4th place. Jason Risher and Jamie Spencer in 5th. Jack Butel and Dean Gibbs complete the top 6.
Well, we've come to the end of an epic weekend here at Brands Hatch. We've seen everything from near misses, crashes, torrential downpour to glorious sunshine in terms of the weather. But what has to be said is it has been a really wonderful weekend. Now join us next time when we'll be at the world famous Spa races in Belgium.